rights movements?
Derry was much more left-wing. Belfast was much more sectarian and violent from the beginning. Yeah, Belfast was much harsher. There was a consciousness here also that we had to make sure we did all we could to help the people in the Falls Road more. Not that we could do that much, but sometimes it would be real sectarian attacks on them, and we would try to have bigger demos here to pull the cops away from there and try and divert attention. But the ideas that I'm explaining, the left ideas, we didn't have the forces on the one hand, and the lesson I would draw from that is you got to build a force around clear ideas, because when the opportunity comes, you're not going to have time to build them. The other thing is the events themselves were very, very powerful. Like, especially when you had events like when the British Army came in here, in a very short time they were beating up young people. At the beginning they were welcomed, as people saw them, that they stopped the specials coming, they stopped the RUC fighting and attacking the area. But very soon they were beating up people. The B specials, they were set up in the 20s, and they were a totally Protestant, part-time force in Northern Ireland. They were armed with 303 rifles. They were not armed for putting down riots. They were armed to shoot people. And so they were brought in as a backup to the cops. And I mean, if they had gone into the Bogside, they would have been a very serious massacre. Because the Bogside, we would have fought them, and all they had to fight back was 303 rifles, and they would have used the 303. That's why they had to stop it. It would have been an event of world significance if that had happened. And so the British Army had begun to take over their role gradually and slowly, and also they wanted the barricades down. They really wanted them down. It was part of the state they didn't control. We had a debate about that. Our position is we either have to let the barricades come down or extend the Free Derry area over the whole country. And that was the alternatives. And our position is we want to extend it, but we hadn't the force to extend it, you know. The Provos had a very simple answer to everything. Their answer was very simple. You got mad at the soldier or mad at the cop, here's the answer. We have the gun and the armed struggle. And the political answer was also very simple. Armed struggle, and we'll blow the British until they lost the will to stay here, and we'll unite the country. And the Protestant workers will have to accept it. The Provos were completely, no, I shouldn't say that, they became very dominant very quickly, because if you think about two big events, internment, 1971, I was living in Strabane at the time, I was moving between Strabane and here. They brought in internment, hundreds of people were lifted and put in jail. In Strabane, 4 of us were to be lifted, 3 Republicans and myself. Put your photograph out with a little code on the bottom of it. You're to be lifted, put in jail, no trial, nothing. And, within days, thousands of people joined the IRA. People like, what was I doing? If you take it as a concrete example, so they didn't get, I swam across the river from Strabane to Lifford and got away. 3 young members of Young Socialists were still active in Strabane at the time. So we brought out a flyer against internment. And I went into Strabane again, and we were standing on the corner, 4 of us, giving out flyers against internment. We were calling for a general strike and a rent and rate strike. And but the Provos was offering something totally different. They were offering, shoot a cop. And cops were being shot. And people were so angry. Like, a man was taken in here from Derry and turned, tortured, viciously tortured. They're using white noise against the people. The youth wanted to fight. And we were saying, here's a flyer, have a rent and rate strike. So it was a long we had. Then, of course, Bloody Sunday. so many people joined the Provos after Bloody Sunday that the Provos had to say, can't take no more. So those events happened as well. I know people that walked from Dublin to Newry to come up to get involved in after Bloody Sunday because they had no other way of getting up. And so the North then just got locked into, in the Catholic areas, the Provos were dominant with a bombing campaign to drive out the British and to unite the country. And then increasingly the Protestant areas got locked into the Protestant paramilitaries to carry out sectarian killings against the Catholic population, and they were in collusion with the cops and the British Army. As it just came out last week, they have identified at least 76 murders where the British Army and the RUC colluded directly with the Protestant paramilitaries. And the idea there was to try and show the Catholic population that the cost in terms of death was going to be too great for them to continue to support the Provos. And of course today, where are we? The Provos called off their campaign because it didn't work. And people like me will say, we were right. We said that it wouldn't work. But the Provos called off the campaign and have gone to the right. They could have called off the campaign and gone to the left. And unfortunately, we now see, the Provos are going to become the new capitalist party. They are the new capitalist party of the Catholic population in Northern Ireland. And in Southern Ireland, they're trying to do the same thing. And they might succeed. They're very skilled and determined, and they have a lot of resources. And we went all that. Did we go through all that for very little?